Today we're going to be learning about HTML and CSS. Some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not be. For those of you not familiar, HTML and CSS are kind of responsible for like a good majority of the internet. And just about I want to say 90% of web pages at least are made using at least HTML. And I'm hoping if you want to follow along for this, you have either Visual Studio Code or another text editor. I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code. Hopefully you also have either Google Chrome or Firefox. If not, any other browser should do. So without further ado, let's get started. First, what I want to do is create a new file. And this is going to be my HTML file. Right now, it's just a blank text file. So I'm going to be starting off only writing HTML, and we'll get to the CSS later. What HTML is instructions for your web browser to read and process and then display to the user. And HTML is made using what we call tags. An HTML tag is going to look something like this. HTML, and then usually it also has a closing tag. So what's going on here is I have like this little alligator mouth right here. I call them alligator mouths, the sideways triangle thingies. And then I have some text in between that. Then I have a similar looking tag on the other side. Another alligator mouth and a slash. This slash lets the web browser know that this is the closing tag. The majority, not always, but the majority of HTML is going to have an opening and a closing tag. And in between those tags is your actual content, which would be something like, I don't know, this is my text for a website. So doing this, just tag, content, closing tag, we can tell the web browser how we want a web page to look. So now I'm going to save this. I'm just going to save it in my desktop. And I'm going to name it index.html. And I want to make a new folder to put it in. If anyone feels like I'm going too fast or if I'm not explaining something correctly, if I'm saying something that you're having trouble grasping, please feel free to ask a question. I'm going to name this, I don't know, HTML CSS tutorial. I want to save it in here. So now you'll notice that this text right here turned blue once I told it that it was an HTML type of file. And this text stayed the same. This is because VS Code knows that when something's in between the two alligator mouths, it knows that it's an HTML tag. So I want to change this to body. Instead of HTML, I'm putting body here. And you could actually put plenty of different things in between each of the alligator mouths. All of these are what the element itself is. And it can be a million different things. So I want a body tag and I want a p tag. The p tag represents a paragraph. So this is what I got so far. I got body, paragraph, and this is my text for a website. And then if I open up my file explorer, I go to my desktop and I go to this index.html and double click it to open it in my browser. Are you guys all able to see my browser right now, or is it still on VS Code?
We can see your browser.
Okay. So we have this text appear on the browser itself. And all I did was just write it in VS Code. So building upon this is how you get to like those crazy looking, like super duper amazing looking websites. And it's usually just like built similarly to just, text inside of tags like this. So the P tag represents a paragraph. If I put another P tag, and then I save this, if I refresh here, it'll update onto my browser again because I'm changing the file. And all I'm doing is opening my file on my web browser and it's reading the HTML. So there's body tags, there's paragraph tags, and there's also div tags. A div tag, you're going to notice right here, doesn't look much different from the paragraph tag. In fact, doesn't look like it does much of anything. The div tag is usually made to contain other tags. That's not always what it's used for, but that's what people like to use it for a lot of the time. And you'll also notice that I have P and then like space. This is my text for website, space P here. And then it looks totally different here. But on the web browser, it looks the exact same. This is because HTML doesn't actually care about all this white space. All it's looking for is your tag, the text between each tag, and its relationship to the tags around it. It doesn't care if you write like this or like this. In fact, I could also do this. It's still going to look the exact same on the right. So let's go through some of the more prominent tags used in HTML. Here, I want to add my heading. So I'm going to put my website heading in between this tag, H1. You'll notice that it's like all big and bold instead of just a tiny little paragraph. Your H1 tag is usually just going to be the title page or the title for your page. There's several other H tags, H2 through like 5 or 6, something like that. And what these H tags all represent are just headings of different sizes. As the number gets bigger, the text will get smaller. These all serve different purposes. Just know that the H1, your browser is going to consider it more important than the rest of these. What happens is if someone can't actually see what's going on here, and they're using what's called a screen reader, the screen reader will be told that this is the most important thing to read to the user right now. So it'll actually read it out loud to the user, whatever you put in here. These, it won't care about so much, but this H1, it'll think, okay, this is the most important part. What you can also do is add tags that lead to other pages, which is an A tag. And A tags are kind of special because in their first tag, you can actually put something called an href, and you can set that to another website or web page. So if I make an A tag and I link it to google.com, I can put inside of it, click here to go to Google. And it'll actually take me to Google. But I don't want it to redirect my awesome website all the way to Google. I want people to still be on my website, and I just want it to, like, you know, open Google in another tab or something. So another thing you can do on A tags is put target here. If I put target equals underscore blank, that'll tell my web page, hey, if they click on this A tag, don't reroute, just open in a new tab. There's nuance like this in tons of HTML tags. Something to note here is that I didn't add anything to the closing tag here. I only added stuff to this first tag. Tags that have these additional attributes that you can set, they're always going to be set in the first tag. In between the letter for the first tag and the closing alligator mouth for it. Another example of this would actually be the Img tag. So the Img tag, it's actually a tag that has no closing tag. It's all alone. And what you can do in this is put src. SRCs for Img tags are the only thing that they actually need. Because as you can see, there's nothing showing up here. It's still blank because I haven't put anything in the SRC. What an Img tag is just an image tag, or is just an image tag. And the SRC is the link to the image you want to put in it. So I'm going to head over to Google and I'm going to find a picture of turtle. This is a pretty cool turtle picture. What I can do is copy that image address, can put it in here, save that, boom, turtle picture. All right, so at this point, you basically mastered all of HTML. You found out how to put a picture on a web page. But this is kind of going off the rails here. This turtle's too big. So another attribute you can set on Img tags is width and height. If I put it to 100 pixels, it shrinks it down to a super tiny size. If I put it to 500, it makes it gigantic. Look at that turtle. I put it to 5,000, that's why. That's a pretty decent size. You may also notice that right here, it's click here to go to Google, and right next to it is this picture of a turtle. So what I can do is add a divider tag, because I don't want those next to each other, totally unrelated. I don't want this link to Google detracting from my turtle. So I'm going to say, hey, divide this. So now they're stacked on top of each other. And there's no attention being lost here, which is very important. So let's clean this up. I think by now you probably noticed that there isn't really much to this website here. Like, yeah, I got my awesome turtle picture and can go to Google right now. Got my paragraphs of text and I got my headings, but honestly, aside from the picture, it just looks like, you know, a form that you would print out. It's just black text on a white background. It looks super bland. So what we can do is add style to it. Now to add style, we got to make a new file. You can press Control N, or you could hit File and just click New File. And I want to save this file before I do anything to it. So in the same folder, I'm going to name this style.css. So HTML is really cool, but if you really want to start popping off with it, you got to add some CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it was made to complement HTML as a way to literally just add style to your stuff instead of having the most bland thing ever. Now, you can also style your HTML directly inside of your tags. Kind of like how I, added href and added target to the inside of my tag. I can also add style. You can add style to any tag. So if I say color aquamarine on my second paragraph here, it changes the color of it to aquamarine. This isn't really recommended. There's easier ways to add style to stuff, which is to just make a new file and link it to your HTML. Because if I wanted to add style like that, I'd have to just go through every single element here and write style equals and then specifically style that. But if I add a head tag here, head tags in HTML, they're usually just stuff the user doesn't see that's still valuable information for your HTML page. In this case, I'm going to be adding a link, and I'm going to want to link my style.css page. So I'm going to say link style.css, and I want to say type text/CSS. And what was the third part? Oh, that's right. I also want to put a relationship. I believe that was what you would put inside of. No, it was just straight up style sheet. So now my HTML and my CSS, as far as I know, they're linked up. The easiest way to test this is to just start applying styles and see if they work. So I'm going to say, hey, my entire body, which is everything you see right here, I want it to be just entirely blue. So what I did was I wrote the name of the tag I want to edit. I wrote an opening and a closing curly bracket. And I said, hey, the background color, set that thing to blue. So now if I refresh, this should look like just an ugly blue mess. Yep. Now, if I take this out, it just goes back to being plain. Add it back in. Big blue mess. That blue's a little too deep. So what you can do on VS Code at least is you can actually hover over the color and fine tune it to be still a little more subtle. Yeah, it's still kind of ugly. Eh. I can't get the right blue right now. Yeah, I guess that'll do. You can also change other things among the background color. Like the foreground color, which would just be color. And for probably the two of you out there that know how to use hexadecimal, you can actually just write your color values like that. You can also switch between the types of color codes on VS Code. It's important to note that mainly CSS will write your color in an RGB value. What RGB stands for is red, green, and blue. So if I increase this first value to 200, it would increase the amount of red. If I increase the second value to 250, it would increase the amount of green. And now you can't read it. It's important to note that you need a good balance between your foreground and your background color when you're building a web page. I don't want to get too much into design because that's kind of its own separate animal. I just want to show you how to use the tools. So this is cool and all, but like, how do I edit all these guys at once? Because I don't want to write H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 in my style.css. So what I can do is I can give all of these guys a class. I can say class equals, and let's say heading. Probably don't actually want multiple headings, but you know, you do you. So I'm going to copy this, paste it. So now all of these tags belong to the heading class. What that means is in my CSS, I can change anything in that class all at once. And to do that, instead of writing the name of an element like I did here to modify my body, I'm going to write dot and then the name of my class. So heading. And just to see if I'm selecting all these, I'm going to want the color of these to be red so that they stand out. Yep. All right, I know it worked. That doesn't look too good though. So what might be a little confusing here is these are all whatever this color is now. Even though they're part of the body, and I said, hey, I want it to be kind of whitish, they're still being overwritten and changed to this. This is because they are part of the body and they're being selected as part of the body when I change the color here. But classes will always be on top of just individual elements in terms of selection. The only thing on top of a class is an ID. Meaning if I set one of these to have an ID that says main-header, and if I wanted to reference something with an ID, I would just use the pound key or hashtag thingy, and I would put main-header right here. And I'd say color. I want this to be 6Es again. And then bam, it'll overwrite that. Another way to override is to put exclamation point important here. I wouldn't really recommend this because this is saying, hey, this is more important than literally everything else that the element here is part of. And that could cause for some unwanted overrides. So let's add, actually, you know, I'm kind of sick of staring at this like tomato looking color right here. Let's just change it to be in line with this guy again. I kind of want to add some more information about turtles to my website. And I want to change this instead of my website heading. I want it to be turtle facts. This is now an informative website about turtles. Cool. And I want to put some text next to this turtle right here. You know, just describing facts about turtles, you know, to follow my main header right here, because I want my website to be in line with this header so that people know what my website's about. So I'm going to go on Google. I'm going to look up turtle facts. Look at that, turtles are reptiles. So I want all these facts and I want them to still have this little bullet right here. So what I can do is use a UL tag. UL stands for unordered list. You may have noticed I've just been using all these tags willy-nilly. That's because there's a lot of HTML tags to use. In fact, if you just have your opening alligator symbol, you can look through a lot of them here. There's too much to cover inside of, you know, just one hour thing. I will be referencing some external information resources you can go to after this lesson to find out more about what each of these specific ones do. But for now, I'm just covering like a very small amount of HTML tags. Anyways, inside of each UL or unordered list is going to be a line, and a line tag is just li. And then I can put that right there, and let's see how that looks. Boom, turtles are reptiles, and I still got my bullet point. So let's write another line tag. Let's add this here. Copy that, paste that. turtles have a hard shell called I don't know how to pronounce that, but you know what? It sounds fancy, so this probably is a true fact. So let's see what happens if I try putting my line tag outside of my unordered list here. Notice how these two, they're segmented together, and then this one is kind of, just doing its own thing out here. The UL does, it adds these lines into a collection right here so that they're all nice and neat like that instead of being kind of randomly jumbled up over here. So if I move that over there, it's all nice and neat again. All right, this is the last turtle fact for my super awesome turtle website. All right, now we got some facts, but I want them to be right next to each other. Right now, I got my line, and under it, I got my turtle. But how are people going to be aware that this and this are related if they're just stacked on top of each other like that? How are people going to know that this is a turtle right here if he's not next to the facts, So what I can do is inside of this div that contains both of these, I'm going to add a class. And I want to name this class Flex because I'm going to be using the CSS tool called Flex on it. So dot flex and then my curly brackets. So Flex is a super duper important CSS tool that people use all the time. And what it does is it modifies the way that things are shown to the user. So to turn on Flex, you write display : and then Flex. And now they're next to each other. For those of you a little more familiar with CSS, there is also a tool called Css Grid, which is super popular. For brevity's sake, I can't cover both of them, so I decided to just focus on Flex for now. I could answer some questions about it after the lecture if you want to stick around, but for now, I'm just going to be talking about Flex. So now I got my two items next to each other. I got my turtle and I got my turtle facts. All through the power of Flex. But if I shrink my website now, there's not much room because it's trying to keep this and this next to each other because they're both in a Flex container. It can't just stack them on top of each other like it was doing with these elements right here. So I'm going to make my website a little more responsive. Responsiveness is super important in web design, and it's something people barely ever notice. If I go to Google right now, and I expand the window, and I decrease the size of the window, it tries its best to keep all the information there. And then once I hit a certain size, you notice the top left right here just kind of disappears. What's happening is Google CSS is checking the size of its window. And once it reaches a certain point, it's changing the CSS that's being applied to it. This is called a media query. And to write a media query, you would do @media for, well, media query. And you can write screen and we'll start out with minimum width. So within my media query right here, I've written a CSS selector for my line tag. Notice how in here, all I have is the property I'm changing. I can't write, my element inside of the selector up here. This doesn't work like that on regular CSS. Media queries are kind of special. What I'm saying is if the minimum width of my screen is 701 pixels, then apply these changes. So I want my margin up top to be, I don't know, 40 pixels. And I want my font size to be 22 pixels. Now watch what happens right here. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Made my text a lot bigger. My turtle looks a lot more derpy now because his face is all stretched out, trying to keep up with the size of my text here. But on bigger screen sizes, it looks pretty nice. Well, at least I got it to set up correctly on bigger screen sizes. So I can write another media query. And this one is what I want to apply for smaller screens. So notice here, instead of minimum width, I wrote maximum width. And say the margin top is 15 pixels, 13 pixels. And I want the font size to be 12. So now, if I get a small enough screen, all my text is correctly formatted. Cool. What happens if I get smaller? Well, the turtle is still all funky looking. Because if I go back to my index and I look at the Img, I set the width to always be 500 pixels. This can be pretty problematic if I'm on a ton of different, screen sizes, because this turtle is going to try his darndest to always be 500 pixels, even if he's messing with other elements. So let's get rid of this. And instead of all that, what we can do is modify this image tag. And I want to set the max width to 50%. So what this is going to do is say, hey, the width of this picture, I don't want it to be any bigger than half of the size of this div containing it. So now my turtle, he's always going to scale to that. He's always going to be half the size of the div containing my turtle and my text. What I did to my text was, hey, if you're on a bigger screen, set your margin to be 40 pixels. The margin is the space around each element. And the font size, well, that's just the font size of the element. So this is a pretty sweet website so far. But I feel like I could do some more. What if I want my paragraphs to be together here? Well, what I could do is put those in Flex too. So div, cut, and paste. Save that. And now if I add Flex, that class I made earlier, to this div right here, it's probably going to change how these two look. This is my text for a website. This is my text for a website. There's no space in between these guys now. That's a bit of a problem. So if we go back to Flex right here and we set the property to be justify content space around, it's going to put even space between these two guys. So what I did was I had Flex do a ton of work for me. Instead of figuring out how to get this guy and this guy to be on the left and right sides of my website at all times, I said, hey, make it Flex and space them around. Another thing you can do with CSS is you can change the font family to something like Comic Sans if you're insane. Let's do this one. Ta-da, unique text. So you guys probably noticed I'm kind of just skimming through what HTML and CSS can do. These are just the basics, like very basic tools of what these two are capable of. You can do a ton with just HTML and just CSS, but to keep this from being a 6-hour live stream, trying to make it very condensed. And stuff like this is going to take a long time to really get it down. So what you can do to help yourself learn it, especially Flex, is go on good old W3 Schools right here. So this website is usually my go-to when I'm looking up HTML and CSS stuff. These guys have just about everything you can learn for HTML and CSS. Look at that, add a tooltip to the paragraph below. I'm not going to do that, but hey, you can. And for learning Flex, I've taught you like 1% of what this thing is capable of. Like, you could have all of the responsiveness done for you without using, too many media queries right here, just by basing your thing off of Flex. You made an app better than W3 Schools? Dude, that's awesome. For learning Flex, there's actually a really useful utility called Flexbox Frog. So this guy right here, it's like a game where you just write Flex to win. The objective of the game is to get the froggy onto the lily pad. And the only way you can do it is by writing Flex commands into this guy right here. So it's saying right now, hey, get your frog to the end of the page. You have display Flex set up. So one of the utilities I can use is Flex End, which puts my item at the end of this. So if I write justify content, and instead of space between or space around like earlier, if I write Flex End, throws my froggy to the end of the page. Just like that. Bada bing, bada boom. Got Flex. No lie, when I first learned how to write CSS, I just spent like 2 days playing that game, and it taught me stuff that I still use today. So, did anyone get lost along the way or have any questions regarding HTML, CSS?
Any questions you guys want to ask?
Guess not.
Okay, that's good.
Cool.
All right, let's see. Everyone's good. Okay, we got one question from Angel. Is the media queries on W3 schools?
Should be. Angel, you're the one that made your own app that's like W3 schools, right? Are you just setting me up to show something that W3 doesn't have? Maybe. Yep, they got media queries.
Show us your app, Angel. Okay, and would that be it for your presentation, Daniel?
Yep.
All right, and no one else has any other questions for Daniel? If not, then we will be turning it over to Joanne, who will answer any UI UX questions. If you were here before, last meeting, Joanne was answering a couple of questions about UI UX already. So if you guys have more, then she's available, and I'll give it over to you, Joanne.
Thank you. Hello, guys. Do you have any questions so far? Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, Jojo. Yeah, you guys can ask me anything. If not, I do have, like, remember last time, not last week, but last time we did a couple of exercises on UI UX. So I have those ready to kind of have an exercise, but we can do the questions first. Okay, what is it? What do you want to show us, Alan? Should I share my screen? Yeah, I guess that's cool too. Like if anyone has any projects they want to show us, or maybe have constructive criticisms, we can do that too.
You can talk to her. Say hi.
Hi. Hello.
Think about it. Be nice, Miss Joanne.
I'm not saying anything yet.
Don't break his heart. He's
Dude, that's really good design right there.
Welcome to the red side.
Yeah, I remember Alan asked the question last time saying, what if I want everything red on my design? And I said I wouldn't recommend it. But I mean, now we have a little more yellow and blue. I like it. I still would kind of mellow down with the red. but I feel like I can't stop you since you like red a lot. But in general, I would tone the red down. It's pretty cool.
Have
Are
you tried
those?
making it more red?
Have you tried making it more red? Are those like head accessories? Can you make like an avatar? Is that what's going on?
Oh. Tell me, what is it? It's just a thing I made on Scratch, and it's just some Incredibox related thing, and it's not really finished at all. It's just the icons, and all you can do, like, click and drag. I mean, like, just click it, but I don't really know how to drag it. It's on Scratch, and it's like for like kids, and it's more simple. And there's only one. There's like two icons. Like one is on the top, and then one is like somewhere like in the corners, like a lock icon for some reason, because I don't have a second one yet.
That's cool.
I put it there. Okay, say thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for showing us. It's a nice work in progress thing. Really red. That's really the most prominent thing I can say about this. It's really red.
At least it has some gradient to it.
Yeah, that's true. Not everyone knows how to use gradients, so. Great job, Alan. We want to see it when it's done. So next time, hopefully it's done. Anyone else? Any questions? I know some of you guys are from Codestack, and if you have any questions that will help you with your intern projects, we can do those too.
Yo, Joanne,
Yes.
you want to talk about some of like the poor design choices on my example project, just to talk about stuff you should avoid?
Oh wow. Well, first of all, no. What was it? Was it red on blue?
Yeah.
Red text on blue background, maybe not a good idea.
You want to show your beautiful design again? Daniel?
Oh, sure.
Oh my
sure,
gosh.
yeah.
I mean, oh, and also you didn't change the font to Comic Sans, so that was kind of sad.
That counts as a pro.
The turtle is really cute.
It's a good looking turtle.
I know. Like it knows that, oh, someone's taking a picture of me. I gotta do their post. Well, for seriously talking, I feel like the white text on this beautiful blue, and I mean it the best way. I like this shade of blue, but I don't think the white would be accessible on top of it.
That is true. A big thing I did not cover is accessibility. What if someone who is totally colorblind tried to read my website, but they couldn't because this white just didn't work with this blue for their disability?
True. Yeah.
Right.
Plus,
Just a
there are
button.
people too that are not colorblind. Sorry, what?
Go on.
Oh, I was saying, some people are, even though they're not colorblind, it might be hard for them to read this. Like in general, it might not be legible enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my first tip. Make sure your foreground color is accessible with your background. And I think I showed a website last time for you to check your accessibility colors. So I can show that again. What if you need a screen reader? Let's see the audit score.
I don't think I can audit this
Oh,
because it's just a file.
there was another question before. They asked, what's a better color scheme for being an informal and an informational app?
Oh, well, so color schemes really depend on the branding of your client or your project. It could, honestly, it could be any color as long as the colors that you use together are complementary, and as I said earlier, the foreground and the background color of your elements should be accessible. Color palettes would be maybe 2 to 5 colors at most, or sometimes 3 colors, and then one is only for accents, like only for primary, but you only use it for primary buttons or just links, and then everything else is something else. So it really depends. There's not really the right color for informational apps, but it's really how you use whatever color you're using that's important. So I would say in terms of like color theory, information would be like blue or green, which like normally it symbolizes like facts or that it's correct. So green might be a good one. Blue also. Not much red and orange because normally they symbolize like warning or stop or incorrect. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question. So I would say blue, like the warmer, no, not warmer, cooler colors. Green, blue, yeah, along those part of the color wheel. Wait, I tried using gray. Yeah, depending on how what the shade of gray you're using and what the shade of yellow, the nut might be readable or easy in the eyes, I would imagine. Yeah, maybe not gray and blue. I mean gray and yellow at the same time. Yellow is nice for highlighting things, so that's one project I used yellow for is Teachers College of San Joaquin website, and I almost only ever use yellow for like announcement bars, so that it pops up like it's really important, like no classes this Monday or something. When someone comes into the website, the yellow highlights it, and the user notices it right away. And then gray is mostly for like disabled stuff or like not active. So, oh, actually, I have a, let's see. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but then again, it depends. Like, let's say the logo of your app is primarily yellow, then you have to make it work that way with the yellow. Just not, it really depends on what colors you're using with the yellow, let's say, for example. What's nice to do is to do like a color palette and then see what looks nice with your yellow. Let me switch it up. Thanks for coming. Okay, I'll share my screen just so I can show you this. Can you guys see my screen now? Yes, no, how? Yay?
Yes.
Okay, so this is where I usually get, like, if I have a new project and there's totally no color schemes and it's all up to me, I can choose the color I want, the color palette I want. I usually go here just to see the nice blends of colors. Because sometimes you don't really see that colors are good together until they're in a gradient or until they're like right beside each other. So this is a good website to look at if you're having a hard time trying to find colors for your project. Let's see. I know I used one of these things before. Can I find it? Oh, like this one. I wouldn't think that this color and this color would look good together, but seeing it as a gradient now, it looks nice. Okay, here. You see this one? Anyone from Codestack familiar with these colors? With these colors? Where do you think I used this? This one. So this is like, I think I copied the exact same hex for this website.
Is it for the CSE website?
Correct. Ding ding.
Nah, it's not ringing a bell.
Oh,
You want to show them the website?
Gring gring. I don't know. Is it CS Conf? Okay, there.
Yeah, CS Conf.
There you go. So this website is based on these colors. Like these, I think these exact hex too.
I don't think you showed it. There you go.
Ta-da! So yeah, like before this, I think most of my websites were like blue, navy blue. And I feel like I want to make everything navy blue. And then the last CSE website was like red and orange. And I couldn't think of like a new color to go from, so I went to this website. This is where I got. But there's a lot more colors. This could be every year. It's like 50 years from now, I'm still looking at this for another website. So yeah, I'll copy paste this to the chat. Oh no, not that one, but that one. Okay, there. Anyone else or any other questions? Okay, now I can see. Okay, maybe while you guys are thinking of any questions, why don't I show some practice UI UX? Okay, so can you see this? Okay, you guys tell me which one you think would be more effective when designing a form. So this one's a form. The left or the right? You guys can answer in the chat too. Left. Okay. Anyone else wants to answer? Cast your votes before I play the video. Left. So, right? Is right the right answer? So, I gotta tell you guys that we're thinking more of like the default state. So so it's like when the user gets to the form, this is the first thing they see. So they haven't touched the form yet. What is the better default state? The left or the right? Okay, I'm gonna play it now. Whee! See who's right and see who's left. Okay, then I'll pause it. Okay, so I can understand why people answered left, because it does look like it's already accomplished, the left side. But if you're thinking of the default, like when they just got to the form and they haven't touched anything, if they see something that looks accomplished, there's a big probability that they're gonna ignore it, like unconsciously. Because if it looks accomplished already, then my eyes would just skim through it and not answer it. You know what I mean? Like it says here, there's a lot of people that misses to put the time of the meeting because they think they already put the meeting time there. But if it looks like this, then you know that there's no time yet, and that you'll be more pushed to actually put the time there, so you don't forget to fill out that part of the form. So yeah, that's why the red is the right decision this time. So close, so close. Okay. Any questions so far? Since this is the Q&A, making sure I'm checking if anyone has any questions. Okay, we can go to the next one. Which one is more effective in terms of error language? Error language. The right one or the left one? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, right one is more effective. Anyone else? Cast your votes. Left, left, left. Is right the right answer? Left. Okay, anyone else wants to answer before I play it? Okay, I will play it. 8 seconds. Ta-da! Okay, so left is the more effective one. I guess this would depend on your users. Are they programmers like you? Would they want to know the codes of the error in particular? But in this context, we're thinking that our users are like the general public, wherein they just want to know why they can't log in at the moment. They can't really do anything about the codes or what error code it is. So what's important is for us to speak the user's language, like make sure whatever we're putting out there, they will understand. So honestly, all they want to know, why can't I log in? Then it's because the server is temporarily unavailable. But you don't really have to put the codes or the number of whatever there, since they're not really going to do anything about it. So it all comes down to who's using your app or your system and catering to what they need. So if your user needs those codes, then maybe have the code there. If they don't, if they just want to know plain and simple why the error is there, then just explain the error plain and simple. Okay. Great guesses, everybody. These are tricky. Like sometimes I cheat myself saying that, okay, this is my answer, and then it reveals the answer. I'm like, yeah, that's what I said. But basically I was wrong, but I was the only one who knows that I was wrong. So, okay. Any questions so far again? Could be anything, design-wise, graphic design maybe, UI, UX, web design, app design. Okay. Cool. I guess you guys can answer this one. Which one is more effective? This side, wherein they explain why they need your phone number? Or here, where they have an info icon that you have to press or select to know why they need your number? Okay, let's see. The chat doesn't have, oh, there. I was gonna say, the chat doesn't have a timestamp. I don't know which one is which. Okay, now it has it. Okay, left, right, right. Very mixed answers. I like it. Right, right, left, left. Okay, let's see what the answer is. Okay, so this time left is the right answer. And the reason why is because of that reason in the text, because we want to make sure we tell our users why we're asking certain information. But also, in terms of technicality, we save them one tap or one click if we just put it right there, instead of having an info icon where we force them to click one more time. And basically for nothing, because we can just put it there. So it depends. Info, icons, or buttons, it depends on how long the information is before it gets to like a pop-up or just plain in the form. But in this particular instance, it's a really short information. So we don't need to have a pop-up for that. We can just put it there, so it's gonna be easier for the users to read and see. We make sure that we know that they know why we're asking the information for. So, but if it's like a long info, like a whole paragraph, then maybe that's where pop-ups and info icon is going to work. So still, it depends on your content. Okay. Any questions? Please ask me questions. Okay, sure. Okay, this one. I like this one. This is very important too. Which one is more effective, left or right? This is in terms of text hierarchy. Text hierarchy, which one is more schemable? Which one is more scannable, I would say. Okay, we have right answers. Any lefties? I'm a lefty, but left's not my answer. Okay, we'll play it. That is true. It is hard to notice the difference. Okay. So I think looking at it side by side, it's hard to notice it really. But it makes all the difference when you're really just in an app and you're trying to browse things. It's a big difference to have your texts have the proper spacing and proper hierarchy. Because sometimes it's hard to scan things like which header is this for or which subtitle is this for. It's really important to know this and to practice this in your designs. Making sure that your content is easily scannable and easily readable by your users. Okay. I will skip that one. I think I've done that before. Okay, this one is kind of tricky, but I want you guys to try and see which is more accurate. And at first, you won't see the difference, but you have to kind of find it. Like, what's the difference between the two? Oh, my internet connection is unstable. Okay, so which one, left or right? I see votes for the left. Left, right, left. Okay, so left. I'll play it and see why or which one. Is there one? Okay, so most of you are correct. And honestly, at first I didn't even see the difference between the two. But basically, you have to look at this part right here. The cutoff, so there's two cards here, and then there's a cutoff card right there. This one doesn't have it. So the only difference really is that here it's more obvious that you can still scroll to the right or to the left. I'm confused. Scroll to the right, to the left. Anyway, that you can scroll. This one, it gives you like this impression that that's it. There's only two cards and that's it. Okay, to the right. Thank you. So this one helps you visually, like, oh, I have more to see if I scroll to the right. So this is more accurate than this one. And that's the only thing. Nothing's more ugly than the other. It's just making your users more aware when they go into your project. Okay, cool. That's all the exercise. Is that all, really? Oh, okay, this one. It's a lot simpler. So when you have multiple select, I mean not multiple select, when you have select options in your form, which is okay for if you have two options, left or right. Left, left. Left. Right. Okay, let's see what the right answer is. Anyone else wants to answer this one? Left. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so left is the right answer for this one, just because we only have two options. I think generally, if we have 4 options and below, people like radio buttons more because it saves them one click to know what the options are. So with the drop down, you won't see the options until you click into it and then see what your options are. So that's more for fields that have like a lot of options. Like let's say state is a good example. There are how many states, and you can't really have a radio button that lists all the 50 states, right? So the drop down works the best for that kind of situation because you don't really want to see all of the options at once. You can like search for it, like CA will bring the California up or something. But if we're only doing 2 options, like for this example, male or female, then you don't want to have to click into a drop down just to see 2 options. Just have him there right away. So they just click what the answer is instead of making them go one step further just for 2 options. Okay, is that clear? Okay, I think I went through my selections of exercises. Are there any other questions? Anything related to the exercises we did, or just curious minds about design? What's my favorite color? Well, okay, let's see. I can find it here. Favorite color. Actually, my favorite color changes depending on my mood. What's my favorite font? Favorite font is Comic Sans. Ha ha ha, just kidding. Web safe colors. Maybe not. I mean, yeah, I think this is my favorite color right here, like in the middle over here. But I like all these 3. And then favorite font, I like Quicksand. Oh, actually, if you guys have Adobe subscription and you don't know about Adobe fonts, you should go here because they have a lot of nice fonts that you can choose from, and then you can use it for your web projects too. You can search here. You can search classifications, like if you know, like let's say we have an intern designing for a museum, and you know how museums are like really formal and everything, so maybe it should be serif because mostly it's like prestigious and nice and formal. So your font really speaks to what your brand is trying to say, or what vibe your brand wants to be. So you can search through here. The classifications are all here on the side, but my favorite one is Quicksand. It changes from time to time, but this is the one I used in my latest project, and I really like it. So clean and nice and round. And then are web safe colors really a thing anymore? Maybe not anymore. I think mostly people are more concerned with the accessibility, color contrast nowadays now. So it could be any color as long as they're accessible. Oh, and I'll show you guys the WebAIM resources color contrast checker. For those who weren't here last time, this is how you can check your color contrast. So foreground color means the one on top, and background color is the one at the bottom. So I think this was this color right here is kind of similar to the color that Daniel has in his website, right? So I'll just put that in my background color. And then his foreground color was white. Hex for white is FFF. And here we go. It says it failed. So what you can do is you can make your background darker until it passes. So this tool has a nice touch to it where you can just move this what do you call it? It's in the tip of my tongue. Slider. You can slide this until it passes. So it keeps getting darker, darker and darker. Now it all passed. So now you can get this hex and use it. Or if you want to keep using this light one, then the text has to be dark. The foreground has to be darker. So now I'll put it darker, 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 darker. Still failed. Still, oops, we're passing. Oops, we're passing. We're passing. Now it's passed. So, see, now you had your original colors. You can play with the sliders and make it pass, and then you can use those colors. Just copy paste the hex. And then, what are your favorite free design tools that are comparable to Adobe products? Oof, it's really hard. I am spoiled with Adobe. All I ever use is Adobe. OMG. I know, though I've never really used it like for the past 2 years, I would say. I think InVision is free. This is basically like XD, where you can prototype. You can do website or app prototypes, and then you can link them together. And it's also it also makes interactive prototypes. So this is like XD, but I haven't used it in a long time. But I would recommend it if you guys don't have Adobe subscription and kind of tight in the budget. There's a lot of people using InVision. Like, it's more like Team InVision and then Team XD. Like, we can't really say one is better than the other. It's just more like your preference. So you guys can check this out. It's totally free. I think they said it too. Get started free forever. This is not a sponsored post. And then I'm not sure if Figma, I heard of Figma. I haven't used it before. But it's also kind of like that, and I guess you can try it for free. I'm not sure if it's free forever. Oh, maybe not, because it has a pricing. But this is also another one that you can use for prototyping. I'll send this one to. Okay, what are web safe colors for those of us who aren't aware? Okay, let's Google that. Web safe fonts. Colors, sorry. Okay. Combination of red, green, and blue. Okay, cool. So website colors are like the colors that can be translated in a web page. So there's different color modes, and let's say RGB, which is red and green and blue, is the one that works best with web because browsers can translate that color mode perfectly. But let's say CMYK, which is cyan, yellow, magenta, and what's K? I forgot what K is. no K. It's black. Why is it K? Anyway, these are more for like print stuff. So like printers would translate these colors better. So that's the difference. So web safe colors are colors that can be translated by the browser correctly and accurately. Wingdings for the win. I used to play with that as a kid. So many. Being a good, does being a good, wait, someone's, can I open my Slack? What if it has some sensitive data? I probably shouldn't. Anyway, does being a good UI UX help in interior designing? I would think so. I mean, UI UX is really just, no, you probably shouldn't open your Slack. Oh, thank God I did the right, I did the right decision. Anyway, I think so. I mean, designing in general really means you're trying to design something that will work for whoever's using it. So like, you know, interior designing would be not just making your house look nice, but also how it can work for whoever is living in the house. So kind of the same concept, though totally different, you know, tools and whatnot. But UI UX is basically just making sure that whatever system and whatever app or whatever website you're doing or you're making would be usable and user-friendly to your target audience. So I would say yes. Yes is the right answer. Yes is my answer. I sent you my app. So was Angel the one who messaged me on Slack? Should I open it? Actually, I can stop sharing for a moment just to check it. Oh yeah, true. Okay. So Angel, do you want this to be broadcasted? Like, do you want me to look at it while screen sharing? Doesn't matter. Okay. And then let's see. Where's the chat? Will I get in trouble if my websites are not accessible? Yes. Some are. There's a lot of organizations that are checking websites to see if they are accessible. You can get sued if it's not. I think there's a lot of artists, like musical artists' websites that aren't accessible and they are getting sued for it. I wouldn't name drop. But especially if your target audience is, well, I mean, in general, your website should be accessible, but especially if a lot of people are using your project or your app or your website, it has to be, because it could get audited and you can get sued for it. So has to be accessible. Like from the get-go to like once when you're, you know, trying to think about your design, the colors you're gonna use, the sitemap, you have to take into consideration everything should be accessible. Okay, so okay. Let's open this. This is Pandora's box. Okay, how do I? Okay, wait, I'm gonna stop sharing so you guys can see my files. Let me unzip this real quick. Actually, Angel, do you want to share your screen so you can just show us?
Yeah, I can if you guys want.
Okay, host Joseph, is that allowed?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Let's see.
Every website should be accessible, otherwise, where's the chat? Otherwise, they could get sued. Yes. Yes. Though I would say a lot of people, like, they say, oh, we don't really cater for that specific target audience, so we don't care. But no, that's not a good way to think about it. Plus, it's not really hard. If you start your project thinking that it has to be accessible, it's not hard for it to be accessible. I think what's hard is if you already have an existing project and then you have to make it accessible, that's what kind of becomes a problem. But if you're starting your project and you make sure that it's accessible from the get-go, then you shouldn't really have any problem. Okay, what are we looking at?
This was my my version of W3 schools.
Oh.
As you can see, I didn't get to doing the media queries, so that's why I was asking if they were there. But I do have all of the tutorials for HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and JavaScript.
That's cool. So how did you get their data?
How did I get the data? I literally copied it from W3 schools into a Google Sheet and pulled off of my Google Sheet.
Oh, like per page you copied it?
Yeah, literally. And I had to style it up too. So let's see if we click on something. Why isn't that working? Hang on. This one will look better. Oof. Like I said, good example of what not to do.
I mean, at least the texts are really big. It's hard not to read them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. I want it to be kind of in your face, you know?
Yeah.
But this here is rough. That's pretty rough. Yeah, I got bored and just started playing with the colors.
I can see that.
But yeah, so like I said, good example of what not to do.
Those are Barney colors.
The app itself is really useful though. Like it has like
it has everything in the tutorials at least. And you can even take the quizzes.
Oh really? Can we do that?
Yeah.
Wait, why is it already red?
Oh, it's just the color scheme. That's all.
Oh. You guys see that?
See, again, good example of what not to do.
So I automatically assumed that the red means it's wrong. Or that I wouldn't, even if it's the right answer, I probably wouldn't click the red one. So that's really important, you guys. Really important.
As you can see, we're not doing too hot on their quiz here. Just kind of going around clicking them. If anybody wants to answer.
Which oh, which one? Daniel would know. Definitely not meta. It's red.
Maybe title? That's probably a good choice.
Title.
Let's see. So yeah, once you get through the quiz though, just for a quick example here.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
You get your quiz result immediately.
Also, wait, do you have a username so you can log in?
I do. Yeah, so you can even go and sign out. And since I already have an account, yeah, since I already have an account, I'll show you guys that I can sign in.
That's cool.
And if I spell my password wrong, it won't let you sign in.
Okay. Oh, but it doesn't say that it's wrong though.
Yeah, I didn't have enough time to do the interceptor stuff to then throw the required error codes and whatnot. But yeah, so as you can see, I was able to sign in and create an account.
That's cool.
Nice.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this took a lot of time. Most of
I
it was
can
getting
see. That's a
most
lot
of
of
it.
things to copy paste.
Yeah, I did at
One,
least
one
like
part.
I did at least like 150 Google Sheets.
Oof.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
At first, I thought maybe you had like a source where you can download everything.
I wish there was an API for this, but unfortunately there
Yeah.
wasn't, so I had to build my own. But came along pretty nicely. I was pretty satisfied with the way it came out.
Yeah. I mean, the animations for the interactions are really nice too.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would.
But yeah,
Yeah, I would just really fix some colors. Um, the
definitely
size,
this one.
maybe the size. Like, why is this quiz bigger? Is that
This is a header. These are headers.
okay? So yeah, that wasn't too clear.
Right. With the whole NG4 thing, as you can see, they have all icons now, which I
Yeah.
didn't really like, but it is what it is. I added also a little makeshift chat feature,
Oh, that's cool.
but the only thing is though is that when you hit enter, it refreshes.
Wait, so who are you talking to? Just yourself?
Yeah, at this point I was just testing stuff.
Angel, Angel, Angel! Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but yeah, so
Wow, that's fantastic.
this is my little version of W3 schools that I was talking about.
That's cool. It
Yeah.
would have been perfect if it had the media queries.
I didn't know about the media queries until today, so that's why I was asking about them.
That's cool. Oh, also, while you're copy pasting everything, you get to learn all of it too, huh?
I'm sorry?
You get to learn everything
Yeah,
in the tutorial.
exactly. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do it,
That's cool.
to sharpen every kind of skill I potentially had. So as you can see, now I made you an account.
No, that's cool.
And you're able to sign, or maybe not, I probably spelled the password wrong, whatever.
Oh no.
Or maybe your name wrong.
LOL.
Oh, oops, hang on.
Password. Yeah, maybe not green on blue.
But yeah, so as you can see, now you have an account and you won't have any quiz results until you take them.
That's cool.
And you could even edit your profile to say something else.
Awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you
You
for letting me
audit
share.
this?
Can I? Yeah, I can audit it. Let's see. Let me move this stuff real quick.
I would guess the yellow and white wouldn't be accessible, and then the green and white.
I believe it gets like an 89 or 84.
Oh,
And yeah, it's because of the background colors.
okay. Oh, so this, for anybody who hasn't tried this before, the audit tool is really nice because it shows you how accessible your project is, and then it tells you what to fix too. See, contrast. Background and foreground colors do not have sufficient contrast ratio.
Yep.
So that was what we were talking about earlier.
Perfect
See,
example.
no green on blue.
But yeah, I'm going to stop sharing now. Thank you guys for letting me share.
Hey, thank you for sharing. You did a great job too. That's like a lot of tedious work.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, it just took a lot of time.
For sure. I can imagine. Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
I guess that's cool because normally if we were in a room doing the meetups, then we would actually share our projects and help each other out. So I guess it's nice that we're doing it online. Like, hey, can you look at this? Can you make this work? Thank you. I'm gonna go eat somewhere while we make it work. Awesome. Anybody else? I guess we only have 10 minutes left. But any other questions? Last call? Last call? No. No. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Eek. Okay. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, thank you, Joanne. Okay,
Thank you, Joseph.
So, a last call and no more questions. If not, well, thank you, Daniel, for your presentation. Thank you, Joanne, for answering our UI UX questions.
You're
And
welcome.
we will be here again. Just look at our updates on our social medias about the next meetup. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next 2 weeks. Thank you, guys. And have a
Oh,
good
there's
night.
a question.
Oh, there is.
Outside from this meetup, how can Codestack help us with our projects? I think so far our only avenue to helping people is the meetup, right?
No, you can shoot us a question on our Slack.
Oh yeah, we
We
do
can
have a
help you
Slack
out there.
channel. I forgot about that. That's true. Please subscribe to our Slack. I think subscribe is not the right word. Sign up. Yeah, there. You can sign up to our Slack channel, and then all of our programmers are there, so they can answer your questions if you have any questions. How do we sign up?
Oh, do you know the answer to that, Tony?
I know we have a link.
Yeah, because I don't
Send
think I'm
out.
even in it.
Well, we can put a link in the meetup page.
Yeah.
Okay, just
I can create a one-day link and send it in this chat if anyone wants it.
That's true. At least yeah. So they can sign up.
yeah, and also look out for the link at the meetup page. It should be there. We'll be putting it up.
So if you want any help, just click on that link and join our Slack. We have 2 channels for helping people. We have, I think, beginner concepts and advanced concepts. So if you join either of those channels, just ask whatever. And we have a bunch of engineers who would be happy to help.
Great. Any other questions? Nope. Good. All right. So if there are no more questions, we will be back in about 2 weeks. And if you guys have any further questions outside of this meeting, you guys can go ahead and Slack us with that link that Daniel gave us. All right. So everyone have a good night, and we'll see you again.